I'm up on the Rainy River, and this is some of the best spring walleye fishing you're gonna find anywhere in the country. You know what? Spring's a little bit late this year, but the water's open and we're gonna be able to get after some fish. Stay right where you're at. The open water season of Fish Ed starts next. Feels like a pretty good one to start. You know, when I started coming down the river, I had to come down from further north than what I normally put in because there's so much ice pack in the river. So I started up higher, and as I came down, what I'm looking for is I'm looking for spots where there may be some current. Because you know what? There's, ooh, look at that. What a way to start the year right there. Look at that one. Look at that. That's awesome. But here's the thing. As I was coming through here, I'm looking for areas where there's going to be some current because there is not a lot of current in the river. You know, you look around on the shorelines, snow hasn't melted yet. And with that being the case, look at that walleye. What a great way to fire up our season. Simple 1/4 ounce pink and white Lindy jig. Get that thing out of there. Look at that fish. I'm going to let this thing go and I'll tell you exactly how we pick these spots because you know what? It is so key to be in the right spot to catch these fish. There he goes. Boy, these fish are healthy up here at this time of year. Now, if there was a bunch of current, all right, if this snow was all melting, these fish would be stacked up tighter to the shorelines along the breaks. So that's where I would have started. Now, what I was looking for is an area where there's a little bit of a funnel, a deeper hole, so an area for them to sit. But some current will still come through there. And a lot of times when you don't have current, you're gonna find that right in the middle of the river. One more thing to keep in mind, because we don't have a lot of runoff this year and not a lot of current, I'm fishing out a little bit deeper than I normally would too because the water's a lot clearer. So keep that in mind. If you get a chance to get out on a spring river, look for those areas that are gonna have current. And if it's before the big melt, get out in the middle because that's gonna be your best chance. There's one. Got him. Oh yeah. All I did here to get this fish to bite is I slowed down a little bit. When I say slowed down, I didn't slow the boat down. I kept moving about the same. And this, boy, this is another dandy. I kept moving about the same, but instead of just jigging under the boat here, what I did is I started flipping out to the side, okay? And then working it back. And a lot of times, especially at this time of year, when we're dealing with these cold water temps, oh yeah, that's another great one, look at that. When you're dealing with cold water like this, a lot of times what happens is a little bit of a change of direction or just slowing down a little bit can make all the difference. Let me show you exactly how I'm fishing today. Look at that, let's get that thing out of there. This is as simple as it gets right here. This is a 1/4 ounce Lindy jig. Pink seems to be a pretty hot color so far today, and I'm gonna show you this fish, and then we're gonna get it back in the water. And then I wanna show you the rest of the setup because it makes a huge difference in this clear water. Just let this big girl go. Here we go. Let's get her out of here. There she goes. Boy, they're so spunky and lively in this cold water, but the big thing about what I'm doing is I'm fishing clear water. So I'm using a super line and it's allowing me to feel every bite. But then I also tie on a no snag swivel and a section of fluorocarbon line. Now this is a silver thread 6-pound fluorocarbon. The neat thing about this is those fish in this clear water, they can't see it. Now if you tie directly to that super line, you can get by with that in dirty water, but I'll tell you what, when the water's clear like this, it can really hurt you. So make sure you tie that section on there. Now you don't have to go with a real heavy line either because we're fishing situations here in the river where we're fishing deep in the basin. So that 6 pound is gonna be fine. There's not a lot of snags out here. And then I'm fishing a big rainbow chub, and that seems to be making a difference too. Now keep this in mind, when these fish come rushing up this river, they may be here to spawn, but let me tell you what they do before they spawn. They eat like crazy. So that's when you wanna have a big bait like what we're fishing today. And they don't seem to be real interested in small minnows. Every time I've tried a small minnow, I spend a lot of time just soaking that thing. But as soon as I've gone to a big rainbow, I start catching them. I'm gonna get back in there and get another one. Got it. Same thing. Just flipping off to the side, just that little bit. And you know, the other thing that might have something to do with it, I was talking earlier about this clear water. And you know, now that I've kind of gotten out away from the boat a little bit, I'll tell you what, it just seems like it's gotten a little bit easier. So I would say it's probably a combination of changing the speeds, changing of the cadence, because you're coming in a little bit differently. There's no doubt that it's coming differently back toward the boat. And then also just the plain and simple fact that maybe that boat being over the top of them was just a little bit spooky for them. And that's another fun walleye to catch. But you know, there is another trick that I want to show you, because it's a trick that normally I use when I'm hooking up a rainbow chub. It's a dynamite eye right there. We'll let this guy go. And then you know what? I'm going to show you something, because it's going to make a big difference for you when you're fishing minnows. Let's get this guy back in the water. You know, I was talking about fishing big chubs before, and we're fishing a big chub. But here's where the difference is. A lot of times, most people hook these chubs, they come right up from underneath and they pin their mouth shut. But here's the thing, I'm working so slow today that I want that chub to be able to swim. And if you pin his mouth shut, he's gonna die a lot sooner. So what I do is I go in his mouth, and you can see what I do here. I just go right in there, and then I come back up like that. And you can see, I mean, he's alive, he's gonna stay alive, and he can take water in and out, and his gills still work. It makes a huge difference when you're rigging, but it makes a huge difference when you're jigging slow too. So remember that. It'll keep your bait livelier, longer, and that'll catch more fish. Hey, if this is the first time that you've checked out Fish Ed, what we do is we go out every week. Now we're gonna take a week off here after this one. Ooh, this is a big walleye. Wait till you see this one. We're gonna take a week off though. We'll be back in 2 weeks, and we'll be out every single week looking for a great bite somewhere across the Midwest, and it'll be a bite that you can go do yourself. Sometimes it'll be that right there. Sometimes it'll just be a whole mess of eaters, but check back each week for Fish Ed throughout the summer. I think you'll really enjoy it. Look at that big walleye right there. Wow. That thing is just a monster. We're gonna get this thing back in the water right away, but that's all 8 to 9 pounds. That's just a beautiful fish.